Hi, thanks for joining me today. My name is Anna, and today's class is going to be a gentle flow with a nice leisurely wind down at the end. So I will be using 2 blocks and a blanket or a pillow. So if you've got those props handy, go ahead and grab them and let's get started on our back. So coming down onto your back here, we're going to take a hold of one of your blocks if you have one handy. And just place it off to the side for now. We'll be using it in a moment. And go ahead and place one hand on your belly and one hand over your heart. And just finding a nice, comfortable position there. And take a moment to just soften or close your eyes. Relax your shoulders. And just start to feel your breath moving beneath your hands. So notice that as you inhale, you move your breath into your ribs, so expanding the ribs outward. And as you exhale, just feeling them settle back in. Let's do 2 more rounds of breath like that. Breathing in and out through your nose. And then you can go ahead and grab your block. We're just going to place it in between your thighs, that thinnest or middle width there. And have your hands on your thighs here, feet are firmly planted on the floor. Begin to lengthen your tailbone slightly down toward your heels. You can tap your glutes here, the back of your hips, squeezing the glutes to lift you up into a low bridge. So we're keeping that length in the low back without kind of popping the ribs up and arching in the lower spine. And then you can lightly take the base of your skull and just begin to lengthen it back. And if you'd like, you can add just a little pulse up and down, working the glutes, staying connected to that breath. And you're just stretching the arms out straight on the thighs, so just giving a little bit more length to the low back. Feeling a little bit of work in the belly. And then just holding yourself there in the low bridge. Bring the arms straight up toward the ceiling, flip the palms up, and we'll take the right hand to the left fingers and just start to pull them back for a nice little wrist stretch. And as you do that, maybe you push down into the big toe mounds and lift and spread your toes. And switching hands. Left hand pulls back on the right fingers. Keep squeezing in your glutes, you got it. Then go ahead and let your arms come down. Toes are back down on the floor if they weren't already. And nice and slow, start to descend your spine, 1 vertebra at a time there. Beautiful. So let's take the block off to the side there. And go ahead and bring your hands on your belly. So feel like you can take your thumbs up toward your belly button. And kind of the pinky side of the hand is touching your front pelvic points, these little bones on the front of your pelvis. And then your index fingers kind of pointing down toward your pubic bone. And just feel that as you exhale here, like you can almost draw everything together underneath your hands. And so it's not so much of just a pushing your lower back down into the floor, kind of a gathering of your abdominals in front here. That's kind of almost a 3-dimensional drawing in. All right, so we're going to keep that feeling Take an inhale breath. Exhale, draw in, and lift the right knee up over the hip. Inhale, set it down. Exhale, draw in. Lift the left knee up over the hip. And inhale, set it down. Exhale, lift the right knee up over the hip. And inhale, lower. Exhale, left knee lifts, and trying to keep that consolidation in the belly. Inhale, set it down. Let's do one more each side. Exhale, hug in, lift the right knee up. Inhale, lower. And exhale, hug in, lift the left knee up. Beautiful. And then we'll bring both feet down. Take the feet about mat's width apart here. We're going to do a little windshield wiper move. So feet are wide on the mat here. Can have the hands on the pelvis to start. We'll let the knees drop over to the left. But now try to keep that right footprint on the floor. And then you can even feel a little bit of a bridge action in this right side hip. So squeezing this right glute, pulling up on the front of this right thigh. Just getting a nice opening in that right leg. Inhale, come back through center. And exhale, take it over to the right. Keeping that left foot on the floor as much as you can, squeezing this left glute, pulling up a bit on the front of this left thigh. And breathe. And now maybe you take the arms out into a goalpost. We'll come back through center, inhale. And exhale, open to the left. Inhale back through center. Exhale to the right. And then coming back up through center here. Just roll onto your side and then come up into a tabletop on your hands and knees. I'm just going to take a blanket here under my knees for a little bit of support. You're always welcome to do the same. And then let's set up the wrists under the shoulders, the knees under the hips, and then lifting the front of your face and the front of your throat up, keeping the back of the neck long so the chin doesn't jut forward. And we'll just move into a couple rounds of cat and cow here. So starting to turn your tailbone up just a little bit, softening down one vertebra at a time. So moving from the lower back up to the middle back, space between the shoulder blades, the upper back, maybe the gaze lifts slightly, and then reversing that. Start to curl the tailbone under a bit, and then lift up, moving through each vertebra all the way up your spine. And then maybe your head drops at the top. Let's do one more like that. Nice. Now we'll come back to neutral here. Spreading the fingers nice and wide. Then tuck your toes, pike your hips up for downward facing dog. So pushing the floor away with the hands, let your head relax. And then you can bend your knees, send the hip creases up toward the ceiling, and hold your front ribs in, lifting the forearms up away from the floor. So we're really getting a nice big opening into the whole back of your body. And then you can start to pedal out your feet a little bit. And then from there, we're just going to start to walk your hands back toward your feet just until the heels come down to the floor. And you can always be up on blocks here. But the heels are down. Now send your hip creases back, and you can even, for a moment, put the fingers in the hip creases, reach them back, spine stays nice and long, and then come up onto your fingertips. Let your head relax. And take a couple really deep breaths into your back. Then we'll walk the fingertips back a little bit more here. Spine stays long, hips move back, and then you can take your hands onto the thighs or onto the hips. Rise to stand just like that. Nice. So we're going to find this nice tall posture. You can have a hand behind your lower back, right above your glutes, hand behind your head. Move your skull back. Glutes are staying on, and the spine is nice and tall. And then keep that feeling as you walk up to the front of your mat here. All right, so I'm going to use my blocks here. You are welcome to follow along. And I'm going to take them on their highest setting, but just play around with what works best for you. So we're going to take an inhale, bring the arms forward and up. As you exhale, hinge back in the hips, keeping the spine nice and long. Hands come down onto the blocks here. I'm going to step my right foot back. I'm up on the toes, squeezing this back right glute. And notice that maybe with the fingertips up or the hands elevated, that you can get a little bit more length in the spine. Now just start to rock forward and back on the right toes, on the back toes. And then we'll go ahead and lower the right knee down. You can take your right hand down either onto a block or onto the floor here. Hug this right shoulder away from the ear, and then lean back into the shoulder blade as you turn in the ribs to the left. Now let's take your left fingers onto the left shoulder, and we're just going to start to circle the arm here. Let your right ear drop toward the shoulder a bit. A light hugging in of the belly. Make your breath a little bit bigger. And then if you like, you can reach that left arm straight up, maybe tuck the back toes under and lift the knee, squeezing that back glute. Good. And then we'll parallel the feet to the right. Keep your right fingers over to the left a little bit. And once again, you can always use your blocks here. Notice that we're not shifting the hips back, but we're keeping the weight centered over the center of the foot. And then bring the left fingers over toward the right a little on a diagonal. And then you can begin to almost arc your rib cage up and over to the right. And it doesn't need to be very much there at all. Just getting a nice opening through this whole kind of outer left side. Couple big breaths. And then go ahead, grab a hold of your blocks if you're using them, turn around to face the back of the mat, and we're gonna go right into the second side. So the hands are elevated there, either on the fingertips or on the blocks, and the left foot is back, toes are tucked. We'll just start to rock forward and back on those back toes, squeezing this left glute, Spine is nice and long, chest is open. And then we'll lower the left knee down here. Take your left hand down either to the floor or a block here. Draw this left shoulder away from the ear and then lean back into that shoulder blade. Open for your twist, and you can take the right fingers onto the right shoulder and just begin to circle in the shoulder here. Let your left ear relax toward your left shoulder. A light hugging up of the belly. Nice, easy breaths. And then maybe you take the right arm up toward the ceiling. Maybe you tuck the back toes under and lift the knee, squeezing that back glute. And we'll take the right fingers down, parallel your feet now to the long edge of the mat. And we're going to keep the left fingers a bit over to the right. Notice that you're not sending your hips back, but keep yourself centered over the middle of your feet. And then we'll take the right fingers over a little bit to the left on the diagonal. And then maybe you kind of arc your rib cage up and over to the left, just as much as it feels nice. Remember, you can always have the hands on blocks here. Nice. And now we'll turn ourselves around to face the back or the front of the mat, and come into downward facing dog. Left foot slides back. And just take a moment here to observe if anything feels different from that first downward facing dog we did. So we're spreading the fingers nice and wide, pushing the floor away. Knees can bend, but really send the hips up as you hold the front ribs in. Not letting the shoulders collapse, holding the forearms up away from the floor. Good. Then from there, let's go ahead and lower the knees. We're going to bring the hands right under the shoulders again. And let's push down into the left hand. Take the right arm and reach it up, turning from the rib cage here. And then we'll thread the right arm underneath the left, coming down onto the right side of your head. So I want you to feel like you're not putting much weight on your head and your neck, but it's mostly on the shoulder here. The chin can stay slightly tucked there. Sometimes it feels nice to even imagine that you are going to drag that right shoulder blade back. And sometimes you can get into a little bit of tightness there. Feels nice. Then we'll push down into the left hand, come back up into your tabletop. Second side, push down into the right hand, turning from the ribs to the left. And then we'll thread the left arm underneath the right, coming down onto the left side of your head. Chin stays in a little bit. And then maybe think about dragging that left shoulder blade back just a bit. And notice if you find anything there. You can breathe deep into your back, deep into the sides of your waist and your ribs. We'll push down into the right hand and come back into your tabletop. Okay, so from here we are going to move into legs up the wall. So there are a couple different options here. You can use a wall space if you like, but sometimes it also feels really nice if you've got a chair or a couch you're nearby. You can lay on your back and just put kind of your lower legs, so your feet and your calves up on that surface, whatever it is. I am going to grab a hold of my blanket. It also works really well to have a pillow or a bolster or anything you might have nearby. So I'm going to take my blanket here, pretty close to the wall. And I'm going to take my lower back, kind of the top of my glutes, onto that blanket there. And then bring my feet up to rest on the wall here. And so you can take a minute or so to get situated there. Knees can always be bent if it feels like too much to have your legs straight. But the key with this one is just to find a position that feels comfortable and easy and restful for you. And if you need to have maybe something behind your head or a blanket over you, just take a moment and get yourself set up there. And now from here, we're going to move into one of my favorite breath practices, which is counting your inhale and your exhale. And so we're going to start off inhaling and exhaling for a count of 4, and then 5, 6. We're going to go all the way up to 8, and then move back down. So 7, 6, 5, all the way back down to 4. We're going to do it 2 times, and the first time I'm going to count, and so you can kind of move along with me. And then the second round, if you'd like to do it again, you can move at your own pace. So taking a moment there, letting your shoulders relax, letting your pelvis be heavy. So in and out through the nose. Inhale for 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 3, 2, 1. In 2, 3, 4, 5. Out, 4, 3, 2, 1. In 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Out, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. out, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, in, 2, 3, 4, 5, out, 4, 3, 2, 1, in, 2, 3, 4, out, 3, 2, 1. And now, if you'd like, you can repeat that on your own. Take a moment here just to observe. Notice what you feel. Without judging, without criticizing, without trying to change or shift anything. Allowing yourself to take in that information and that feedback. And just notice what your body is saying to you. Begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. And then you have your feet up the wall, maybe to start to bend your knees. And when you're ready, from wherever you are, you can roll over to your side. And then eventually pushing yourself up to a comfortable seat. And take a moment in any comfortable seat here. And just thanking yourself for creating this time and space to slow down, to listen to the needs of your body, and to be intentional, to breathe a little bit deeper. And just feeling the difference that it makes. Wonderful. As always, thank you so much for sharing your time and your practice with me. If you enjoyed this class, please give it a thumbs up. It's really helpful to me if you share these classes with anyone who you think might enjoy them, and hit subscribe so that you are not missing new classes that I post. Thank you for being here. I'll see you again next time.